Welcome to Coruzant Technologies, home of the Digital Executive Podcast. Welcome to the Digital Executive. Today's guests are Neal Schrodetzki and Ethan Morse. Neal Schrodetzki and Ethan Morse are veterans, filmmakers, and co-founders of Time to Kill Productions. Neal Schrodetzki grew up in Phoenix, Arizona. It only took one high school elective class on film directing for him to discover a passion for filmmaking. Neal then decided to enlist in the U.S. Army. He joined with 4 of his high school friends, went to the Army's Airborne Infantry School. During that time, Neal was recruited to the 3rd Infantry Regiment, the Old Guard, in Washington, D.C. Ethan Morse grew up in Potsdam, New York. Being cast as an extra on the epic Civil War film Gods and Generals was the big break Ethan had always imagined, but his dream of being a filmmaker was quickly overshadowed by the events of 9/11 and led to his enlistment in the U.S. Army as an airborne infantry soldier. He too was recruited to go to the Old Guard in Washington, D.C. Well, good afternoon, Ethan and Neal. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Brian. Thank you so much for having us on today. It's really an honor to be talking with you.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time to have us on your show.
Awesome, guys. I really appreciate this. And I tell you what, I've done close to 150 podcasts now. I'm catching up. Actually, I'll probably have 150 out there by the end of this weekend. But your story really inspired me. I'm a fellow veteran, as you both are, and I'm excited the fact that you started a film company and launched a couple of productions. I'm excited to jump into this. So, Neal, I'm going to start with you. You have quite that career background, which, again, makes me proud as a fellow veteran. But you run a film company. It's called Time to Kill Productions. Could you share with our audience the secret sauce to a successful company launch and your first film project, The Unknowns?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we started The Unknowns in 2012, right when we moved out to California, and actually launched Time to Kill Productions because we were getting to the marketing and distribution phase of that first documentary, which is a feature documentary that covers the training at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, where Ethan and I both served in that unit that we met, the 3rd Infantry. So we launched the company in 2014, a couple of years after the project had started, in order to market it and distribute it. If there's any secret sauce, it's really just, I don't know, for me, it's not putting the cart in front of the horse and making sure that you're doing what you need to do, but not going overboard, because so many times we've gotten into new phases and chapters of our company development and just kind of gone all in. When you look back and you realize, we put too many resources here and not enough there. So really now it's about just facing the challenge that we're approaching on a daily basis.
That's awesome. I appreciate the insight on that. And like I said, supporting a film company, traditionally you don't say, how do you support a film company, right? But this is awesome. Ethan, I'm going to jump in and ask you, could you tell us just maybe a bit more about your story and the inspiration about your filmmaking passion?
Yeah, definitely. Neal and I, we did not know each other before the Army. And I grew up in northern New York. He grew up in Phoenix, Arizona. Both of us just definitely knew that we loved movies. Neal, when he took a film elective class in high school. And for me, I wasn't allowed to have television up in northern New York. The only thing we could get is broadcast channels coming over in French from Canada. So we would watch just movies nonstop at my house. I grew up watching a lot of the old movies and just loved the Alfred Hitchcocks, the different stuff like It's a Wonderful Life, Jimmy Stewart, then getting into some Westerns with Sam Elliott. And through all that, just knew that I wanted to be involved in movies. Joined the Army. Neal and I were assigned to the same unit at the Old Guard there in Washington, D.C. as casket bearers. And we found out that we both loved movies and that we wanted to make movies. So when we told our squad leaders that we were going to get out of the Army and move out west and start making movies, they all had a good laugh and said, good luck with that. And they didn't realize that both Neal and I were crazy enough to actually pursue our dreams. He went to Arizona State University. I came out here to community college in Southern California, Fullerton Community College, and then to Biola University. And then we linked back up, then started Time to Kill Productions and The Unknowns. We wanted to tell actually stories that we knew that the nation should hear and see, honorable stories that would kind of build people up.
I love that. I really do. And again, before we started the podcast today, I know we both shared, some of our war stories, right? And I think what you're doing is just amazing. And like I said, I'm going to get the word out around your films and your production. So thanks again for sharing, Ethan. So Neal, are you looking at or leveraging any new or emerging technologies within your space? Maybe not, I don't know, but maybe it's just a cool app that you think's useful and you could share with our audience.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, tech has been the one thing that has really allowed us as sort of a real small film production company to cross the line, so to speak, into really now the prosumer world and eventually the professional world. And that's been such a great inspiration for myself. And both my roommates are in film and TV. And it's just being able to use everything from the digital technology to the scripting software to the editing software, and not to mention the innumerable online resources has been just amazing. So for me, I use mostly Mac stuff just because it works pretty seamlessly. You know, using Final Cut Pro 10, which is actually not considered industry standard right now. They're using Avid. And we went through, I mean, just all sorts of hurdles in terms of figuring out the different technologies and how it all works together. And we're still navigating that. So obviously the internet is the obvious resource that you could point anybody to and say, here's where everything begins, because I've just looked up so many different things trying to figure out everything from how a story works to pre and post production and navigating sort of the SAG industry and hiring Sam Elliott to narrate this docuseries we have coming out Christmas. And it's just been really incredible to see it evolve with us. And it's hard because you can't get in front of that wave as much as you'd like to, because by the time you're actually putting out a project, Moore's law has taken into effect, and all of a sudden computing is a lot better and videos are a lot better. So we're just grateful to be able to be hanging on really when it comes to technology.
Awesome. I appreciate you sharing that. And the fact that you even got Sam Elliott to do your voiceover, that's just awesome. I think he's just an amazing person. I'm going to jump in here, Ethan, and ask you our final question. And maybe you can tell our audience about Honor Guard, your new 4-part documentary series, and it's available for purchase this Christmas on Amazon.
Yes, and I would absolutely love to. In 2018, I decided that I still had a little bit more to give to our country, so I re-enlisted actually in the California Army National Guard. When I came back from training, Neal had called me and he said, hey, I think we need to tell more of the story of the old guard, and how about we film a documentary about the caisson, which is the horses, and it's one of the equestrian, pretty much the only equestrian unit, full-time equestrian unit in the Army, and it's at Arlington National Cemetery, and a lot of people have seen them either at state funerals or, of course, the famous John F. Kennedy funeral. So I was like, that's an amazing idea. Let's do it. Well, then he started writing the script. And then he was like, I think we can do like 4 episodes and cover the United States Army drill team and cover a casket team, as well as cover the history of the old guard. And what is the old guard? A lot of people are, is that in the Army? The reality is yes, it's the oldest active infantry regiment in our nation's Army. We then set out to actually make that. So Honor Guard is a 4-part documentary series narrated by Academy Award nominee Sam Elliott, all 4 episodes. And it comes out on Christmas Day on Amazon. And we're excited to actually finally, it's been a 3-year journey actually since Neal had that idea and then wrote the script, filmed for over, was it 4 or 5 months, Neal, I believe it was?
Just about.
Yep, August 2018 to Christmas time 2018. And then now after lots of steady editing and diligence from Neal and really just carving out what I think is a masterpiece, but of course I'm biased. Honor Guard will be available for purchase on Amazon on Christmas Day 2020. Finally, an honorable, crazy thing that we can all enjoy together in this crazy year.
I appreciate you sharing that. And I think that will be one of the silver lining that we'll get out of this year of 2020, as you know, with the pandemic. I appreciate you sharing that. And again, if you all could just share your website again, so I can share this with the audience.
Our website is ttkproductions.com. And of course, you can find us on the standard Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, somewhere out there in the world, LinkedIn, or at least you can find me. You might not be able to find Neal on those social media platforms, but you can look.
Awesome. So I so much appreciate that, guys. Last thing is just I want to let you know, both Neal and Ethan, it was a pleasure having you on today, and I look forward to speaking with you real soon.
Ryan, it was a pleasure actually to speak to you for the little time that we had. And thank you so much for your service to our great country and for all the work that you do in the tech world and with this podcast.
Yeah, Brian, thank you for your service and for everything you've done for us and for just the podcast work you've been doing. It's really impressive.
Bye for now.